What are your impressions now, 6 practices in the camp? What do you like? What do you not like?
You know, I think it's, I thought it's day to day. It's like every day you're trying to figure out what the team needs and what the mentality is. I think 6 practices in, it's safe to say you're in the grind of it, and these guys are probably feeling the effects, the aggregate of all the work we put in. And I think that's the important time where they got to push. You know, I'm excited for Saturday for the scrimmage. It was good to go live today and get to see guys playing situational football. And so, there's a lot to like, but obviously you always feel like there's a long way to go, and we're still early in this. And I did not think yesterday was our sharpest day. I thought we gave in to the heat a little bit. I thought today we bounced back and had a better day, and it's just we need to start stacking some positive traction here.
How do you feel about the team's conditioning?
I think being in shape in like summer strengthening and conditioning, I think we did a great job. I think Coach Horgan and his staff do excellent work. I think playing at the level that we want to play with total effort requires attention in camp, and so I'm not going to say that I'm pleased with where our playing shape is, where our fitness is. I think we have to keep pushing that, and that's what we're doing. But I do see positive signs with respect to, particularly on defense, it looks as though we're capturing the spirit and enthusiasm we need to take to each snap, and we got to keep building that until we play Hawaii.
Do you have injury updates on Babst, and also, I assume Davion and Devin Lee, is that just kind of status quo? Or?
Yeah, those are longer term, but they're making progress. So it just you're not going to see them out with us necessarily anytime soon. But we're excited about where they're headed. Babs is day to day. I mean, he did a little more today than he did yesterday. It's just about maintenance, and those things are going to come up. I mean, that's what camp is. You have these little nicks and they grow, and you got to do a great job of focusing on recovery and being available, and he's doing that.
Through 6 practices, where do you think the offense has won? Where do you think the defense has won on the whole?
It's been a good back and forth. And that's what when you're talking about your team, you want wins on both sides. I think at times we've shown great chemistry on offense. I think our operation is way cleaner. I think our identity is way sharper. So I feel like I see every day us building into that identity. As we've gotten into live football, we've been able to see Mike Wright make some plays with his legs, and obviously that's exciting to see. I think both Ken and AJ have done a nice job too, and continue to impress with their command of the offense. Will Sheppard has got to find consistency, but again, that's what camp's about. But I think he's playing really hard right now. He's playing with total effort. He's made some one-on-one catches, particularly in the red zone, that get you excited about what's possible there. But you have to do it all the time, and we know he'll do that, and you just got to keep working. There's been things, and I think our running backs are running hard. I mean, I've been really impressed with their finishes. I thought today, particularly when we were in the middle of the field, they showed some toughness and resolve. So they're doing a nice job. And defensively, I mean, we like our length and athleticism. I think getting in shape and seeing that total effort, snap in, snap out. We need to be more disruptive on the ball. So, I think credit to the offense. We haven't had as many turnovers this camp, but I'd like to see a little more confidence in attacking the ball and a little more violence at the finish. But those guys are coming along. Depth in the defensive line is going to be huge. We have the ability to get to that point, but we have to have our young players come on. And in the secondary, we got young guys that need to, through the scrimmages here in fall camp, need to show that they're ready to play and help us.
How has having those 3 to 4 defensive linemen out changed the way you practice and the way that you line up?
It doesn't necessarily change the way we line up in terms of structure. It changes, how often we're able to split the fields and have 2 drills going at once. So we've kind of dialed back on that a little bit. The other thing is that the more situational football you work, the more you might be putting an extra D lineman on the field. So those periods we want to also keep offense and defense so that we can have our depth available. But the guys that are healthy are getting great work, and for a guy like Nate Clifton who missed spring, this is a huge chance for him. we should be getting some of those guys back too that have been kind of soft tissue issues that should be returning in the next few days, and that'll help.
Malik Langham obviously has always had a lot of talent. Feels like he's maybe starting to put it together. Is that what you've seen? I mean, what do you think of his camp so far?
He's fighting. First of all, Malik has the ability to be an impactful player in our league, and we have high aspirations for his success this season. Malik has to find consistency, and I know that's like, I understand that as coach speak, but what I mean is, when he makes the decision to go and he's dialed in and playing at his optimal physical level with total effort, he's hard to block. When there are times when that has to be pulled from him right now, and he's opening up to allow that to happen. But the day that comes where day in day out we're getting the same guy as far as his highest level. I mean, he comes out and goes to work, but I'm talking about him pushing himself to that top tier, that elite level. When he's shown it out here, he's flashed, and so we're excited about what that'll look like. We got to keep pushing him to it.
You have had, I don't know, 6-7 receivers make plays at different points in camp. How do you feel about the depth and that room as a whole and how they've played in the fall?
Well, I think we're still developing that depth. I think, obviously, I feel like, Will is kind of leading the way in that group. But I mean, you're right. It's between Jaden and Gamarion's made a couple of nice catches, and Quincy's kind of started to grow into some consistency day in, day out. Logan has. I mean, there are a lot of people in there that are stepping into roles. They've got the next 3 weeks to really solidify something for themselves, and it can't just be about the flashes. It's got to be, again, about the consistency. But I think we're excited to see kind of where that room goes from here to the finish of camp.
It seemed like you guys were bringing Quincy along maybe slowly the first few practices. I don't know if that was a health issue or what that was there, but how do you feel about his progress?
I feel good. He was in a load management mode where we were returning him from a soft tissue issue from the summer, and so that's pretty typical. But I think, again, I see Quincy, and I think about last fall camp and just the emotional roller coaster, and just feeling like he was fighting to find some stability for himself. Now I feel like I get the same person every day, and he's he's fighting to carve out a significant role for himself, and I'm proud of the work he's done. Happy for him.
How are you feeling about the O-line right now?
More cohesive than a year ago, playing with an identity of toughness and finishing. I think over the next couple weeks that the first 5 will kind of separate themselves. I think on the whole we still have 8 guys that we're looking at right now that could be a part of that, and we're pleased with the young part of that unit, how they're coming along and competing. So I see a group that's again stepping into a physical identity that's playing more as a collective unit, and that gives us a chance to be effective, and we need elevated play from that group, obviously, because we're in the SEC and the games are won in the SEC in the trenches. So
Jalen Mahoney has helped you in a lot of spots, had a great spring, he's been pretty good out here this fall. Where do you think is the spot where he helps you the most, or is that going to change from week to week?
Well, we love his versatility, and so we'd like to be able to, week to week determine where he can be best. Although he's really spending time for us in the inside triangle now, so more nickel safety, less corner. We know he has corner ability and corner skills, but we just love his attack on the ball, and we think the more we can get him involved in the core of the defense, the better. I mean, he's emerged as a leader on the field for us, and a guy that's just so steady and we count on. I mean, you talk about consistency, he would be a representation of that. So more safety nickel for him, but we know we can move him out in a pinch and he would do fine.
You've got an interesting battle with Ethan Barr and Kane Patterson at the same spot. How do you find enough reps for both of those guys?
Well, one of the big, as we scrutinized last season, is at the second level, we played Anthony and Ethan too many snaps. And so, for every game that we play 80 snaps, if we can have a split, even if it were 60-20, over the course of 4 games, you've saved the game from your top group. What we think Kane brings is a competition for starting reps, and so we want to let that play out through camp. But I think the best linebacker units that I've coached in my career have had at least 3, if not 4 guys contributing, and that's what we want to have this fall.
It's been kind of an interesting fall camp to watch what happens on the back end and at the anchor position too, but you've been the constant back there. What does that mean for your role as a leader?
As far as being a leader on the team, I understand the role and the position that I have in terms of bringing everyone along on the defense, especially on the back end, knowing that we have to play with one another. Although there's a lot of competition within the back end, we also know that in order to get the job done, we have to play with one another. It's really, really fun. It's been a really, I'm really honored and grateful and blessed to be in the position that I'm in, to also just set the standard and be a role model for the younger guys and for everyone else on the back end. I also understand just like my role in that position. I have to be the quarterback of the defense and really just take the reins and really communicate with everybody on that back end.
So you're always in that spot pretty much, but how does it help? How can it help the defense to have sort of where you've got guys shifting around like Jaden, Ricky, and going back and forth?
It's awesome. It's amazing. Like when it comes to playing against an offense and you have that type of versatility between those players and with those positions, it really throws the offense off. They don't know what we're gonna do. They don't know what formation we're in, what's gonna come, whether it's a blitz, whether it's man coverage, whether it's zone coverage. It's that versatility is a blessing in itself as well, and I think that's gonna be very helpful, especially when we go into the season.
Ricky's in a new spot there next to you. How do you see him developing? What's your role in communicating and just bringing him along?
Ricky, I mean, I've seen him grow since he first came here as a freshman, and his growth has been immense. Like, it's been very, very immense. He's come a long way, and in terms of just him in his position and what he knows what to do and what he has to do, he knows exactly what he's doing. He knows his role. Communicating has never been a problem with him. He takes it very seriously. The whole back end takes it very seriously, and there's a sense of urgency on the back end that we're going to continue to push all throughout fall camp and into the season. So Ricky's doing really, really well.
The two of you guys are a pretty good-sized pair of safeties. What does that bring to your defense?
It brings a lot of just size, of course, but also just a level of aggression and physicality that we've needed for a long time, and that I think that we're gonna really bring. And Ricky has a lot of range too. You could really stick him anywhere on the field. Honestly, him as a player, he's super, super athletic. Me, I know what I bring to the table as well. So it's a force to be reckoned with, I believe.
Is there anything different about your role with the new coordinator this year?
Just the level of leadership. I think they've embraced me. The team and the coaches have kind of embraced me in a role of leadership on the defense, especially on the back end. That I mean, I had last year, but it's heightened this year, especially. And also, I like to think that I know the scheme and the defense really, really well, and the coach trusts me well enough so that eventually, as we keep going on through camp, I'll end up being like another coach on the defense. Like that adds to that structure of the defense and just helps.
It seems like you guys have come a long way in knowing what to expect from the coaches to a year ago. It seems like there's more player leadership. Is that a fair way to put it?
No, for sure. There's a standard that we have as a whole team, but especially as a defense. Coach Howell was wired different. There's a standard that he upholds. There's a standard that we have to uphold, and there's nothing more, nothing less. The standard is the standard, and we have to push to reach that every day. And until we get to that, we'll never be satisfied. And honestly, we might not ever be satisfied because we're going to continue to push to that standard and try and get to that standard day by day.
What do you think of Jeremy Lucian so far?
Jeremy's my guy, man. I had to host him during the recruiting camp. His man-to-man skills, impeccable. When he's pressed on, I have the utmost confidence in him. We get along really, really well even before he got here, and even now that he's here, like, I'm just happy to have him on our side. He adds a lot to the corner room and just the back end in itself, and he's also really, really smart. Like, he was a Vanderbilt guy before he even came to Vanderbilt, honestly, if I'm being real. But yeah, it's great to have him on the team. That's my guy.
Is it fair to say, at least from an athletic standpoint, that's the most competitive room you guys have had since you've been here, if you include safeties and corners?
For sure. The talent is crazy. Like, throughout my years here, I think this is the most talented DB group that we've had. Although, like, we do have a lot of old dudes on the back end, we also have a lot of young guys on the back end that are going to contribute, I believe, if they continue to just push and just continue to learn. And as long as the older guys continue to take them under our wing. So, yeah, no, I think for sure this is the most talented defensive back group that we've had, for sure.
What differences do you notice in the offense from this time a year ago?
A lot. I think we have more of an identity. You know, I think naming Mike the starter, it was the first time in my career since Sherm that we had a true starter going, you know, leaving fall camp. So I think we have an identity. We know what we want to do. We know who we are. Our personnel, we got guys at the front and even guys in the back that are contributing. And so just our identity and knowing who we are and being able to go attack it. It's been a lot more fresh and clear this fall than the one before.
How do you like your role as a flex tight end? Because it just gives you a chance to do so many things.
Well, I'll be honest, the role I'm playing now is the role I saw myself playing when I signed here. And obviously that was a long time ago in a different administration, but this is the player that I thought I would be coming out of high school. Obviously didn't play tight end in high school, but saw myself in this kind of role, and so I've really embraced it. And I love playing with Ben, both of us out there at the same time. We kind of feed off each other's energy, and so it's been a lot of fun.
You didn't get the ball much your first few years here. You're getting it a lot now and in camp. How exciting is that?
Yeah, it's exciting, but I think you got to earn it. If you want the ball, you got to earn it. And being candid, I don't think I did that in my first 3 years in practice. And that's where it is. It's earned out here, and guys in the past did that. Ben did that when he had that big year a couple years ago, and he's earned it through his career. And now it's my turn to step up and do it as well. And guys around the field are doing it too. I mean, Shep's having a huge camp. Quincy's stepping up. A bunch of guys are making plays, and so if you want the ball on game day when we kick off at Hawaii, you gotta show it here.
Feels like they added a good amount of athleticism and speed in the secondary, and you're practicing against those guys.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know that most of those players, the freshmen, like their best football's in front of them. But
Sure.
what do you think they add right now?
Yeah. First off, I think it's an awesome class coming in. There is a line of guys who are going to take some time, and there's some guys who are ready to play now. And obviously, this is practice 6, so like I said earlier, you got to earn it throughout camp. But there's definitely some guys stepping up. Guys in the defensive back. I know DeRicky's not a young kid, but seeing him play safety, that's not pleasing to see him. There's a big guy back there, and so he's a heck of a playmaker. I remember vividly his play versus South Carolina, running a dude down and ripping the ball out, and that's what we need from him. Issa is a ginormous human being, so having him in there and the way he can run will help us a lot. Darren Agu, awesome dude, love hanging out with him, and he's aggressive off the edge. Linus is going to be a great player as well, and even my boy Cole Spence, man. He reminds me a lot of myself when I came in. Young, athletic, loves ball. He's going to take some time, but we got the right room to help him grow. And the great thing about it we can work with is that he loves ball, and so as long as that's the case, we can help him in any way we can.
You guys have been keeping kind of a journal, right, this fall?
Yeah.
Tell me about that a little bit. What's the thought process there?
Yeah, well, I think that if you haven't been through a fall camp, you can't truly understand it. And you send screenshots to your family of the virtual schedule, and they're like, oh my goodness, how? But you don't truly know what it's like until you're in it. And I think so many times you can get caught up because literally each day is the same, the exact same. You eat at the same time, you practice at the same time, you watch film at the same time, you go to bed at the same time. And if you're not careful, each day just kind of turns into the same. And so how are you going to wake up each day and make it different? And I think that's something we've done through our mental performance program with Kayleen Curry, as well as Coach Lee, just taking time in our team meetings at 7:30 in the morning, just writing down, okay, how am I feeling? What do I want out of this practice? And for me personally, it's allowed me to just clear my head and say, okay, you know what? I guess today's 1 week officially. I'm sore, I'm tired, I'm beat up, and today's only the first day in full pads. But, of all the stuff you go through, the 6 a.m. workouts, all of the, stuff that's not ball in order to get here, you actually get to play full padded football today. And so I think just reframing it to a vision of gratitude is going to help me.
Hey, have you had a little bit of bulk since the spring?
I have. I'm about as heavy as I've been right now, about 246, 247. Testament to Coach Horgan and his staff as well. And to answer your first question as well, I think because of that, we're allowed to push harder now. I will never forget our first fall camp practice last year. It was like the worst thing I've ever been through physically. And now, you know, we wear these catapults that track everything and player load and how fast we're going. Like every one of our practices is blowing that out of the water, and guys are okay. And so yeah, that's been a testament to Horrigan and his staff, and definitely some suffering in those winter and summer days, but this is what's paying off for.
When you say blowing out of the water, you mean compared to this time a year ago?
Absolutely. I mean, I just think, and in no way am I saying we've arrived and we have a long way to go, but there's been exponential steps just in terms of not just, you know, how we do things, but the way we do it and the way guys are moving around and the way they're conditioned. A year ago, especially 2 years ago, we would make it through half a practice we do now.
How is it different having Mike, you know, as a starting quarterback, now starting fall camp, and what growth have you seen from him over the last few months?
I wouldn't say it's much different. You know, Mike, he was getting those starts at the end of the season, so we were already building that connection late in the season, you know, starting with, like, what was it, South Carolina with the deep ball and then the touchdown. But I think he's shown a lot of improvement this year with his accuracy and just his understanding of the offense and where the ball needs to be. I say that's the biggest thing.
You're kind of an unknown heading into last season. You established yourself as the #1 guy. You know, your number's going to be one that gets circled in a lot of scouting reports. Has that changed the way you approach your job at all?
No, I don't think it's changed it at all. You know, I'm still working the same, working like I'm bottom of the depth chart, still working, trying to get better each and every day. You know, we got a lot of young guys on the team. We probably have the most inexperienced group as far as like in-game playing time, but everybody's stepping up. Quincy, Kamari had a big day today. Dev, Jaden, everybody's just stepping up, getting better.
It's a more competitive room than it was a year ago. How much does it help having everybody push everyone else?
We're all out there competing every day, you know, one-on-ones, everything. We're just trying to help each other get better. You know, all the young guys, they're pushing the older guys, pushing for spots. They're pushing for spots. We're pushing the key spots, so it's all just blending together.
How does Jaden add a new dimension to your passing offense?
Definitely adds that vertical element, you know, probably the fastest guy on the team, so he's able to stretch the defense sideways and vertically, so that's giving us a big advantage, I think.